What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Riley's Retro 2017 NAIC format tournament. We are here with round 5 from that tournament. Unfortunately, round 4, like one of the rounds from the previous tournament, was lost forever to the sands of time to corrupted video file using an old laptop to record these at this tournament. So we did have some unfortunate losses in the recordings there, but we are jumping into round 5. We have Dalton on the left, playing a Mega Rayquaza deck, not something that was super popular in this format. It was in formats previously leading up to this format specifically, but as soon as the Trashalanche Garbodor came out and Drampa Garb was more of a common threat, it played several parallel cities typically, and also Sudowoodo, which was released in the Guardians Rising set with the Roadblock ability, was also a, roadblock for Mega Rayquaza being as dominant as it used to be in formats previously. So, but Dalton playing this does have the Fire Energy, so there's a Volcanion EX in there, which interestingly is just used for the Steam Up ability. Since this Mega Rayquaza deck needs 3 energy to attack, you can discard a Fire Energy with the Volcanion to activate your Mega Turbos, allowing you to accelerate energy into play. So that might be something we see further on in. But the start from Dalton is not super great here. 2 Shamans down and a Fire Energy to that Shaman EX, so not the ideal setup you want to start with from this Mega Rayquaza deck, but this deck has plenty of pop-off potential. So while this is really unfortunate, you do at least have another turn or two before Khaos, who is playing this Drampa Garbodor deck, which we've seen so much already in this tournament. Not able to put out a ton of pressure immediately. And we do see a Rayquaza with a DCE coming down on the bench, and hopefully a little bit more action out of his hand. There is an Ultra Ball, discarding a Shaman and a Sycamore, so that definitely indicates that Dalton has a pretty strong hand. And we should mention as well, since this is round 5, this was the final round. This is a win-and-in to top 8 of this tournament. There were a bunch of 3-1s and a bunch of XO1s as well, so people were not able to ID safely into top 8. So this was a true win-and-in, with the winner of this one advancing into top 8. So we'll see who will prevail in this one. And Dalton going to get another Rayquaza down and Shaman for 5. So choosing to discard that Sycamore. I'm not sure what the last card in hand was. Might just have been a VS Eater or something like that. But choosing to discard the Sycamore in favor of more card draw. And looking for a Spirit Link this turn would be great. Looking for even just the Mega Evolution to end the turn. Mega Rayquaza, of course, having the ancient trait that allows it to evolve immediately into itself, I suppose, into the Mega Rayquaza, without needing to wait a turn for the normal evolution rules. Of course, this is a Mega Pokemon, so evolving into this Rayquaza will end Dalton's turn unless there is a Spirit Link tool attached to a Rayquaza when it evolves, but right now not seeing one. And Dalton also probably can't attack this turn, would need a combination of Spirit Link and the Mega plus the Mega Turbo, so not super likely out of this current state. But there is the Skyfield coming down and just the Mega Evolution. Skyfield going to enable this Rayquaza deck to fill the bench up to 8 Pokemon, which will activate the damage of sorry, there's a siren outside. I'm not sure if that's getting picked up on my mic, but it's very distracting. Oh, let me see the Sycamore with the high 5. I just tweeted about this on Twitter. We should bring this back, make this more of a common trend that people do when you open-handed Sycamore or research. You should high 5. It's fun. Everybody's having fun. But speaking of that, Skyfield does unlock 3 additional bench spaces for both players, so both players going to be able to go up to a full 8, and that will mean that Mega Rayquaza can then hit for 240 damage when you're able to fill that bench and get the 3 energy to attack. But Khaos, meanwhile, they are looking for some energy, some more Pokemon to get set up here. We do have 3 Trubbish. One was just evolved into that Garbodor, and then the Drampa discarding Lele and a Float Stone here, and I think there was a Rainbow Energy in hand. Now, this is a little bit of a precarious situation because Khaos doesn't really have any. I think there's only one item in the discard for Dalton, so there's not really any amount of pressure that they can provide here. You can get this Garbotoxin down, you can go in with this Drampa, but then you're just walking into the potential of an Emerald Break knockout on the following turn, as long as Dalton's able to find one more bench Pokemon. So we'll see. I think this is signifying a Big Wheel GX. I don't think Righteous Edge makes any sense here, so probably just going to be the Big Wheel, but this is a really scary situation for Khaos, since, again, one more bench Pokemon for Dalton means a 2-prize knockout and one more energy as well, but 2 cards are not super hard. This deck plays a ton of basics and basic search, but Khaos did at least get the Floatstone and the evolution into that Garbotoxin, so we just dropping the N, so the 10 card Big Wheel will not stick around, literally just flung the N onto the table. So Khaos just going to go back down to the 6 cards. There was a little bit of speaking with some technical issues before, there's just a little bit of like 30 seconds of this frame dropping for whatever reason. It does sort itself out in like 30 seconds or so, but it was, I could not figure out a way to fix it, so sorry about that, but it's really just them cutting and everything, so nothing too bad. It does, yeah, it just seems like it sorts itself out eventually. So yeah, Dalton looking for one more bench Pokemon here. I think if Khaos could have found something like a Parallel City or even just a Field Blower to get rid of the Skyfield, would have made it that much more difficult for a knockout to be found on this turn. But there's an Ultra Ball. Looks like discarding 2 Hex Maniac, which probably won't be that relevant in this matchup, especially since that Garbotoxin is already active. And we're definitely going to be finding another basic Pokemon here, just something to fill that 6th spot. Again, the extra bench spaces unlocked from that Skyfield, so going to be able to get another Pokemon down, then retreat that Shaman out of the active and use Emerald Break to end the turn and take 2 prizes. So off to a great start for Dalton, and I think this is only the 2nd item in the discard pile, which is pretty incredible. This is a deck that, you know, speaking of why it kind of faded in popularity, with Trashalanche in the format, this Mega Rayquaza deck, it plays so many items between Mega Turbos, Spirit Links, Ultra Balls, all of these cards that you kind of have to play to set up the deck. So this is very irregular for this Mega Rayquaza deck to set up with only 2 items and be able to put out this much early pressure. Now, again, it is a very fast deck, so there is still obviously the potential for this deck to just pop off like it's doing. And this is even kind of a slow pop off, if you will, because it is the turn 2 attack there. But very strong start from Dalton. And for Khaos this turn, they're definitely looking for something like a counter stadium, some kind of pressure here, but I'm just seeing the Lysander on this Rayquaza and the retreat and a Trashalanche for 70 damage. Definitely doesn't feel great. Bringing up this Rayquaza over something like the Hoopa is interesting too. I think this is kind of signifying that, like, maybe they want to chase down something that could potentially evolve and then be an attacking threat. But I think bringing up something like the Hoopa, I don't remember the retreat cost of the basic Rayquaza, but I do know that the Mega only has a 1 retreat cost. So if Dalton's able to even just get that Mega Evolution and attach retreat of basic energy, they could just pivot into the other attacker. Of course, we could also see something crazy like a DCE Spirit Link Evolution Mega Turbo, you know, some kind of crazy combo where we could just attack with this Rayquaza. Not super likely, but so I definitely would have liked to have seen something like that Hoopa come up, but not much of a turn there from Dalton either, just attaching a DCE to the bench Rayquaza and the Mega Evolution to end the turn. So we do have 2 raw evolutions, 2 hard Megas, and not the most ideal, but again, Dalton's not really under a ton of pressure. Khaos just going to Ultra Ball. I think discarded 2 energy too, which is really unfortunate. They definitely don't have a strong hand, and having that Big Wheel GX end away a few turns previously, definitely, while it was only an end to 6, definitely unfortunate to kind of stick them with a pretty rough hand, it seems. And again, this would be a great board if Dalton had played like 5 or 6 items. You'd be in a great spot. You'd just be chilling with this and saying, I have 3 single prize Pokemon that are swinging for, 2 shots on all your Pokemon. I'm feeling great. But when you're only hitting for 40 damage plus 30 with the choice band, it doesn't feel particularly great. You are kind of just struggling, and your next best attacker is something like a Tapu Lele or a Drampa GX, which you don't even have energy down. You don't have anything like that on the field. So unfortunate situation for Khaos. Definitely not in the best position here, but you do still have time. You only have single prizers in play, and Dalton still has 4 prizes to take. There's a third item in that VS Seeker for Sycamore. Discarded a Teammates, which is not a super commonly seen card in this Rayquaza deck. Your Pokemon don't usually get knocked out super early, so a card like Teammates usually is seen in something like a single prize deck or in this Drampa Garb deck. Not super common in Mega Rayquaza, but it's a good card, allowing you to search for 2 cards after you have suffered a knockout. So just a strong card. You can get stuff like that DCE and a Mega Turbo. This is a very combo heavy deck in this Mega Rayquaza, so it makes sense, but not something super commonly seen. But unfortunately, just going to pass the turn after that Sycamore, so didn't really find much off of the Sycamore. Maybe just kind of hoping that this Rayquaza gets knocked out to allow them to keep playing the game. And Khaos is going to oblige. Doesn't seem like they have much of a choice, and the 2 prizes could help. Maybe there's some supporters or a VS Seeker off of those prize cards. And it looks like it was Sycamore Field Blower. So those are 2 really strong cards to find at this point. I think N would be the next best supporter you could find to put Dalton down to 3 cards after this knockout with that Garbotoxin plus the Field Blower to get rid of some of those additional Pokemon through discarding the stadium. So this will be a pretty good turn from Khaos, ideally able to kind of get back in the game a little bit. And Dalton going down to 3 prizes with the knockout on that active Garbodor. And we're going to see what Khaos has here. Does have a Rescue Stretcher. And getting some more Trebishes and Garbs back, I guess. Just choosing the 2 there. You do have to take, this is not an up to shuffle effect. If you have 3 targets in there, you do have to shuffle them back, and I think there might be a Lele in there. I think I remember sitting next to this match. I was the table judge as well, and I think just off screen there I pulled the deck away and was like, you have a Lele in here. So I think we did actually get that sorted out. There was the 3rd Pokemon shuffled back in just off screen, just so everyone is on the same page. But there's the Field Blower getting rid of that stadium, and now Dalton will have to discard down to 5 Pokemon since there are only 5 bench spaces once again. So strong Field Blower there, and then we're going to see the Sycamore pitching a couple tools, and we'll see 7 new cards. Really just looking for, you just need something at this point. I guess going into something like a Tapu Lele and energy driving would be potentially decent. There's really not a good attacker. I guess you could also go in with an Acid Spray, and that's what we're going to see, actually, the DCE onto the Garb, and we could see the Acid Spray here. So we're going to see a really big flip. Awkward discard there. I think that was another Ultra Ball away to energy. I think that's the 2nd time that Khaos has done that. So down a bunch of energy, down some choice bands, some good cards are down for them. And we see the Ultra Ball to get another Trubbish, so that's definitely something you needed to stabilize this board. If you go in with the only Garb and then don't have a backup Trubbish, that could be very unfortunate. This is going to be a really big flip. If Khaos is able to get heads on this Acid Spray and discard the DCE, Dalton might not be able to get an attack off the next turn. So we'll see. Here comes the Acid Spray for 100 damage, and the coin flip, here it is. It is Tails. Oh no. So not going to get to discard that energy, unfortunately. That would have been huge just to set Dalton back. Even just setting them back, the manual attachment could have been big. There is the Mega Turbo, probably going on the benched one. Yep, there it is there. And I think that is now the 4th item in the discard for Dalton. But again, that's not really, that's not that much damage. We're doing 80 base with a Garb with a Trash Avalanche, so not enough. Not enough to take a knockout on this huge 220 HP. I say huge, but in, current standard format, that is just the basic V and EX HP. But back in the day, this was a lot of HP. And you're barely even getting to a 2-shot, so not where Khaos wants to be. And there is the knockout, the Emerald Break, going down to just 2 prize cards. Khaos still at 4. And again, I think only 4 items in the discard pile for Dalton, who did find a Skyfield, but didn't make any use of it. I don't know if I like this play from Dalton, just because if Khaos plays something like a Parallel City and an N on their turn, that could be a way that Dalton struggles to finish out and close this game. But we see an attachment to the Trubbish. This is going to be the strategy of choice for Khaos, the aggro acid spray at this point. When all else fails, you go for energy disruption with that acid spray. I've seen it many times before. It has been used to great effect in regional finals of the past. So acid spray, good little Trubbish there, could potentially help stabilize, maybe get by Khaos a turn or two to get back in this game. So there's the VS Seeker, and I feel like it has to be N. I don't see how you could win this game without playing an N here. Dalton does have like a 7 or 8 card hand, so there's the N. Going to go down to just 2 cards is Dalton. Khaos only getting 4. But this is another scary situation for Khaos. Like, do you find another attacker off of this N? Again, maybe finding something like a Tapu Lele could be useful. Again, just something that is able to take a hit, something that forces Dalton to find more cards. Like, currently, Dalton's only hitting 150 damage, so a Tapu Lele with 170 HP would not get knocked out. Ooh, and not even finding another replacement Trubbish. So this acid spray is huge. Here's the flip, and it's heads. All right, so we do discard the DCE, and with the N plus Garbotoxin, Dalton only 2 cards and no abilities. What do they find here? Got 3 cards with the draw for turn, looking for a DCE, but of course, now that there's energy on the bench, Rayquaza, I can't quite tell with the glare. I know there's now at least the 3 energy on there. So Dalton might be able to just retreat the active and attack with the bench Rayquaza, which would take all of their energy out of play if somehow the Rayquaza on the bench gets knocked out in the following turn. But there's an N, so just getting to see more cards and thin out the N out of their own deck. And we'll see what they're able to find. Getting the energy attachment down on the bench one, though, means they're able to attack. I think, did they need that? There was a Mega Turbo earlier, but I'm not sure. Maybe that was... Did they switch around a little bit? It's kind of hard to keep track of with that glare, especially. But there is the Emerald Break knockout going down to just 1 prize. And it is Garbotoxin Garb against the world right now, staring down Ace. Very scary Pokemon, and we see another Trubbish and the Rainbow Energy. Now, I don't like this play, though. With the VS Seeker here going for a Sycamore, I don't like this play from Khaos. I think if you hold out, and there's a Lele in hand, so I was going to say the energy drive from Tapu Lele would be doing 100 damage with a DCE. They're already down 2 DCEs, but if you're able to find something like a Choice Band, you could actually knock out this active Mega Rayquaza with Choice Band and DCE. I don't think they found DCE or Choice Band off the Sycamore, so it might not matter in the end. And here it comes down to the Acid Spray. Does this buy another turn? It's off screen. 10 damage. No energy discard. That's going to be it. Emerald Break knocks out poor Trubbish. Dalton takes it down and will move into top 8.